We're two best friends.
Two mediums that live in a virtual dream house.
Have our podcast taped and find out what happens when spirits get real.
Real funny. By the way, if you don't like cuss words, Dana, what are we rated?
We're rated M for mediumship, or Matt's immature.
I thought it was Matt is awesome, but whatever. Enjoyed this episode.
This is I'm a Medium.
Ask me how.
Matt.
Dana.
This is exciting. I can't wait to unpack this. Like, something huge has happened in the spiritual world and we get to unpack it, and I'm so excited.
I gained 5 pounds.
That's the physical phenomena that we need to unpack today.
No. We were so gifted to get to watch the episode of Sam and Colby when they did the Conjuring House and the wrappings happened, Dina.
Yes, with Santori and Colby. But we've
Mhm.
got to start at the very beginning, right?
Yeah.
And it's actually perfect. It's like we're psychic or something, because our episode right before this was the wild, wonderful world of spirit, where we talked about how amazing the spirit world is when actual phenomena appears, right? And we're sticklers. We're pains in the patukas when it comes to being sticklers for when evidence actually shows itself, when phenomena actually shows itself. And they did a great job, but we're going to unpack all of that. But I think before we unpack that episode of Sam and Colby and everything that happened with the physical phenomena in that episode, we've got to understand the history of modern spiritualism, modern mediumship, and wrappings and knockings and all of that. And that all starts with the Fox sisters. Have you heard of the Fox sisters? Not the Foxy sisters, but the Fox sisters.
I have, yeah. No, I heard of Maggie with the good hair. You know, I like to kick it back 1848 style.
1848 style.
Yeah.
Yes, in a little house in Huntsville, New York.
I'm just picturing like Little House on the Prairie. Where we talk about the Fox sisters.
Yes.
But it starts there. Like, it starts in New York. So spiritualism, or modern day spiritualism, was actually founded in upstate New York, in Hyattsville, New York. I think a lot of people think that it has no origin. No, really, the modern movement started with the Fox sisters. And so what's their names? So there's Maggie and Kate, Leah, and then there's a fourth one we don't talk about.
Well, she wasn't really important to the movement, but really, in the house, we'll talk about Leah later. Leah's the older sister, and she hated the two younger ones.
She was the
honest.
Marsha.
But Marsha. Like, mom and dad, they got married. They had some kids. Daddy had a little bit of a drinking problem. They split up. Mom and dad got back together. And then they had 2 more daughters. And they had Maggie after they got back together. And then they had Kate. They had fancier names than that, but they went by Maggie and Kate. When the phenomena started to happen, Maggie was 14, Kate was 11, and they started to have wrappings or knockings when they started being in this house that they moved into. And everybody kind of started to attribute it to the house. But what was really cool is it wasn't just like random knockings, they got intelligent communication from the knockings.
Well, first we need to explain what wrappings or knockings are, because I think a lot of people don't know, and they think it's like the Missy Elliott of spiritualism, like rapping, like frickin' remix.
They're like, yo, I'm a ghost from 19.
So it's almost like the predated Ouija board, where you'd go through the alphabet and then you would stop when there would be a tap on the letter that you get from spirit. And so, like, let's say it was Dana, I'd go A, B, C, D, you know what I mean? And then I'd go A, and then I'd go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, N, and then, and so it would continue on for every single letter. On that show, they did a really great job of explaining how it worked. So please go check out that episode. But it really kind of shows you that they can do words, they can do sentences, there's messages.
Well, and
So
they would
that's what.
tap once for
Mhm,
yes, twice for
mhm.
no.
Twice
They
for
can
now.
also answer questions like how many years has it been since you've passed? And so they'll tap one,
Yeah.
2, 3, 4. So they can intelligently answer questions like that. There was even some different intelligent things. Well, they did it on the Sam and Colby, and we'll get to that. But where
Yeah.
it's like, I need you to tap 4 times to show me that you're here, and they tapped 4 times, right?
Correct.
So it's showing that intelligent communication. It's not just like, okay, I'm just getting one tap and I think that it's the spirit world. We're asking for intelligent communication to
Mhm.
come back, and it's
Eh,
specific evidence coming back to
Correct.
validate.
And that is all classified under physical mediumship because
Hmm.
everyone in the room can experience the sound of the taps, right? So if everyone in the room can experience it, it's physical mediumship. If it is through just the medium, like trance and mental mediumship, or what we like to call evidential, that is only experienced by the medium. So, like physical mediumship and mental mediumship are two separate things, but the tappings are considered physical because everyone in the room can hear it, or hopefully
Absolutely.
everybody.
Yeah, unless have a hearing problem, but
More than just the medium.
but you would be able to also feel the vibrations of it too, right? It's
Correct.
something that
Mm-hmm.
everybody in the room is experiencing. So coming back, they're living in this house, they're finding this information, and they're actually getting some information on a man that they are saying was buried at the house. Now,
Mm-hmm.
there's some things that are going back and forth, but in 1904 they actually found some bones and some remnants of a gentleman that they're calling the peddler's remains in the home to validate what was coming through Maggie
Mm-hmm.
and Kate by the wrappings. But they also had people coming through the house at this point, because it was just like this crazy phenomenon where they
Yeah.
were getting validatable like mediumship readings from Maggie and Kate through the wrappings.
People would drive all the way from San Francisco to upstate New York to experience the Fox Sisters. It became very worldwide renowned. So people would travel from like the UK to come see it. So it became a huge wave. And as it started in Hydesville, New York, it spread across the globe and it really took off in the UK. So spiritualism really has a stronger root in the United Kingdom, and that's actually where the Spiritualist National Union is now. Like that's where the headquarters are, where we actually have churches here that are connected to the Spiritualist National Union. So like they literally not only because it started in this little house, right? But then it expanded and it became a movement. And there
Yeah.
would be a lot of people that would have pushed forward spiritualism to make it what it was. But it didn't come out without a cost, right, Dana?
Right. Well, and let's go a little bit further into Maggie and Kate's story, just a little bit, so we
Mm-hmm. Let's go.
understand everything. So we have the older sister, Leah, who by this point had been married, had a kid, and her husband had left her, and the whole thing. But the parents of Maggie and Kate are like, you know what? This house is too much for them. All of this phenomena is happening because this house is haunted and all of this stuff. They're like, we are going to kick these kids out of the house. We're going to send them to live with their sister in Rochester, New York. And guess what happens? The phenomena still keeps on
Oh,
happening,
rats.
right? Oh no. Oh, raps.
You know what the mom actually said? I want an open floor plan.
Yeah.
So
I want this to be my craft room, you know.
I want a wrapping room.
Ah!
She was like the Tori Spelling's mom,
Yeah.
Candy Spelling of her time.
Of the
So they go and
1800s, yeah.
exactly. So they go and live with Leah.
Yep.
Okay,
And
and it
same thing
continues.
starts happening. Same thing. And it becomes a bigger phenomenon. And they start doing demonstrations for hundreds and then thousands of people. And they start doing private sittings. And it expands even bigger. So yes, this is like the birthplace of modern spiritualism, modern mediumship, right? But
Mm-hmm.
things happen, and we just need to talk about the downside of the Fox sisters, and what happens after all of this, because it's not like they lived a happy life and everything goes well. We want to tell the well-rounded story of the Fox sisters before we really dive into the Sam and Colby tapes.
So it went. So they basically said, "Looks like we made it," and then they
And
went, "Guess not."
well, and then you get three girls together, and then they all like go
And you throw money involved and just watch the hair fly.
Yeah, and then, then you get married to a guy and he's like, "You don't like this. I'm very religious." And she's like, "But I love you." And he's like, "Well, then give up what you love." And so she left
But
spiritualism
that
because
was Leah, right? Leah
no,
did
no,
that?
no, no,
Or
Maggie. Maggie left.
Maggie did?
Maggie left it because her husband was very religious and he's like, "You got to step away from spiritualism," and da 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 da. So
That's
she
lovely.
denounced it and left it. Leah married, I think she went to the UK and married some
Hmm.
fancy hoity-toity dude out there and
A Duke of
whatever.
Earl.
The Duke of Earl. These are not facts, what he just said. And
Correct.
then but after Maggie's husband died, she came back to spiritualism. Maggie had a drinking problem. She was lost all her money, and a reporter had come to her and said, "Listen, you're down on your luck. You don't have any money. I'll give you $1,500, which is a lot of money by that day and age, right? That's like somebody giving you $50,000 here and now, right?
Yeah.
Imagine you have no money to your name and somebody's like, "I'll give you $50,000. All you have to do is say, you made all of that up." And so she did.
Still a lot of money. That's like almost a new car.
Yeah, it's a new Elantra.
I knew Elantra. I'm doing the Bundy bounce. All right.
And
So
so
she retracted it because she got paid from this place, and then they were like,
and then
"Oh,
she was
here's that
also kind of
money."
pissy at her sister and she was like, "I'm going to just like denounce it," and she's going to blame it on cracking her toe and say
Oh,
that she cracked her toe to make this noise. But, how many times can you crack your toe? Like,
do you have arthritis, Maggie?
I don't know. I don't know. Maggie's toe is messed up. Can you imagine at this point, like what Maggie's toe must have looked like if that was what the case was?
Okay, I did, but I don't believe that. But that's just
So,
me.
so Maggie went around and told everybody, "Hey, yo, I made it up. It was my toe, yo." And
Oh,
so, but a year after that, she renounced that and said, "No, I needed the money. I was
I lied.
poor. I'm keeping the 15 hundo though."
Yeah, she was like Fendi, Prada, Gucci.
And the
But
new
here's a
Elantra.
and the
But
nuance. But that, you know what that did though, because I heard about that, and I know that a lot of spiritualists were like really cool that she denounced it and then
Mhm,
retracted her confession.
mhm.
And then I know a lot of people, like, she has not been forgiven by a lot of people for doing
Yeah.
that, because that did a lot of damages to spiritualism in itself in the movement. Because that,
Yes.
I mean, you have the OG saying, "Hey, psych," right?
Yeah. Psych. But you thought that was pretty cool.
Hmm.
So that's kind of the story of the Fox sisters, right? And that's kind of the birthplace of modern spiritualism, modern mediumship. But understanding again, because I do think it's important to understand as we go in and unpack this video, what is physical mediumship? Remember, again, this is something
Hmm.
that's experienced by the whole room. Whereas mental mediumship is interpreted by the medium. The medium is the only one experiencing any of the things from the spirit world and then putting
Exactly.
their own spin or interpretation. As much as we train not to, it's coming through us, right? But no matter what, the medium is the tool, right? It's the energy source, it's the conduit, it's the tool, because I'm a good tool, that if you want to go back and listen to that episode. So it's modern day, it's 2023.
Picture it.
Picture it, the Conjuring
Ro-
House.
Picture it, Rhode Island, 2023. The two young maiden boys. No, but really, the Conjuring House is it's actually in Rhode Island, and it's been sold so many times. So now I actually think in the show they introduced the new owner, and I liked her. I was like, "Oh, you're
Mm-hmm.
pretty good people," because she's actually treating it with respect. I don't think she's living there, but she's like renting it out as like a paranormal investigator.
And doing
Only,
tours and
yeah,
stuff.
the only thing I didn't like, you want my critique,
Mm-hmm.
is that we had an Annabelle doll in there and they're cashing in on the movie. That's the only thing I didn't like. But Cody and Satori,
Mm-hmm.
love them. You know what I'm really pissed about
Mm-hmm.
watching that though? That I didn't hold your hands first.
Oh, well, this is what really upsets me because literally we were together a week ago.
and we never grasped
we've
wrists.
never, in all of our time together, we've never grasped each other's wrists.
You know when like somebody like they made like twist ties for garbage bags and they became a millionaire and you're like, why didn't I think of
Why
that?
didn't
That was
we?
like one of those
We were
moments.
in one of the most magical places on earth at Arthur Findlay. We could have been in the library grabbing each other's wrists.
But we got some cool shit anyway, so jokes
But
on
you know what?
them.
You know what's funny is people would have laughed. People would have laughed
Hmm.
watching us in the library at Arthur Findlay grabbing each other's wrists.
But you know what
But we would have known.
the bad part about that though is if I grabbed your wrist, I'd want to twirl. We'd be in the library spinning around.
Yeah.
But you know what really creeped me out? So Cody and Santori, they would grab each other's wrists. So do it with me, Dana. I don't know what side you were going to do. Okay, we'll just do it straightforward. So less editing. So they grab each other's wrists and things would happen. So you'd hear walking into the room. Look, I'm not all about haunted houses. You know this about me. But when you would hear on tape footsteps walking into the room, I'm like, these mother truckers. And it brought me to a point in my brain where I was like, when I did that exercise in Arthur Findlay, where I lowered him and just centered on my spine, and I saw that gentleman like to the left of me that just hovering over me, I was like, this shit is just way more real and corporeal than I could ever imagine.
I thought you were going to mention the moment where we were both sitting in that room that one night when we might have snuck into that one room,
Yeah.
and we
We
heard
heard
the
the footsteps too. Mm-hmm.
Which is why it pisses me off that we didn't do the holding
I
of the
know.
arms.
Fuck. But really, we got a lot of physical stuff. But the weight, like, how does spirit? And this is now, it's like opened up questions upon questions, right? Because how amazing is the spirit world? That like the gravity of their feet. And I'm doing this, and Logan from IT is going to kill me. But really, you can hear their footprints walking up to them.
Yeah, and you can hear them moving around the room.
Yeah, and the tappity taps. And then what was really amazing is that people were coming through that weren't connected to the house, but were connected to the people like Sam and Colby and the producer dude.
Yeah. So let's back it up a second, right? So this is so amazing. So the fact that like they're bringing forward like somebody attached to the house, and at first I was like, oh, they're talking to this one spirit that's attached to the house, like
Bathsheba.
Yeah, and I was like,
from the movie.
I was totally like rolling my eyes at that part. I'm like, sure, yeah, you're talking to so and so, and I was throwing that out. But what we look for, because it was so perfect that we filmed that last episode, because what we're looking for is that ungoogleable information. And obviously, Sam and Colby, I think they have over 1 million followers on YouTube, and are obviously very successful in what they do. Very Googleable people, right? But what they were able to bring forward was one of their grandmother's nicknames that only the family knew. And
they mentioned the way the spelling of the brothers and sisters.
Yeah, and I think his mom's name which was Lisa with an Lesa instead of an Lisa.
Yeah, and then the S isn't where you think it is.
Listen, you got to be careful where you put your S's. But what was really cool is it wasn't just like for Sam and Colby. They ended up reading for one of the producers. And obviously they weren't Googleable, right? I mean, everybody's Googleable, but they were able to get reading.
How would they know, right? How would they know? So I think that like it, what I loved is the producer said he didn't want his shit aired, where he was like, no, like that, like, and they respected that. They respected there was a respect of wishes of confidentiality, and that, you know me about confidentiality and readings. But it was amazing I wish I could have seen it, but it was amazing that they did that for him.
Yeah.
Because that was very healing. And to watch, I don't know if it was Sam or Colby. I just call him blonde boy, dark haired boy. But it was the blonde boy. I don't know his name. Sorry. Don't hate me. He's cute though. Cry, like break down.
But it was that.
Oh.
I actually had done a post here recently that true mediumship moves your heart. Like, it's not just about those ungoogleable facts, which that did, but it moves your heart. Like, it moves your soul. And that's what happened to him. Like, he was so moved that, like, he was brought to his knees to tears
Mm-hmm.
because it just hit him like that. And that's what good mediumship should do. And that's what was so freaking cool.
That is not
About
an
that.
orb, so just heads up.
Matt did not have an orb. It was
No.
dander.
Well, it was nice to see Colby get moved by the spirit world. I'm calling him Colby now.
Well, we need to be
I like
careful
which one.
because Santori, I mean, it sounds
Okay. Oh, damn. But Satori, first of all, fun fact about Satori. Her dad is Jason Hughes from Ghost Hunters. So
Which is
if you
so
don't
cool.
know that, that's awesome. And I love me some Ghost Hunters. And I love me some now Sam and Colby because of what they did to validate the information that was coming through.
Right. So a couple of things that they did so seeing the phenomena first on the TV screen, amazing, right? Like, I was very
Mm-hmm.
moved by the whole thing. But what I loved was they didn't just take it for face value just here and there, right? Like, they were like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, let's go upstairs, like just one floor above. Like, we can see like what the floorboards look like from just looking up at the ceiling. What's it going to look like if we go upstairs? Like, is it going to change? How is it different? So they did that, right?
Yeah.
And then they put some time and they put some thought around it, and then they did some experiments. And the spirit world actually loves when you experiment with them. And I think that that's really important to know that, like, the more that we experiment with the spirit world, the more that we work with them, they're excited to work with us. Because what they did is they took the two of them outside.
Uh-huh.
They didn't have wood floor to be walking on.
But before you move on to that, you said something that was very poignant that I want to talk about. They're excited to work with you. So, did you see the part where they were holding hands still and they weren't paying attention to the spirit, and all of a sudden you heard,
Yeah. And spirit's like, we are here. Why aren't you paying attention to us?
You pay attention to me.
That was
Yeah.
really funny.
Yeah, I was like, oh, and they can get excited. So not only the taps can show like evidence and messages, it can show personality traits,
Mm-hmm.
which is freaking dope.
It was so cool. But they thought about, like, how can we debunk this? How
Mm-hmm.
can we look for mundane reasons for this behavior, for these things? Is she popping her toe knuckle? You know?
The arthritis in the spiritual community is brought to you by
Right?
tappings.
We need better orthopedic shoes in the mediumship community,
Yeah.
you know, but they took them outside.
Mm-hmm.
Then they started.
Which I got super close to the screen for. I actually played it on my TV. So I took it from my phone and mirrored it on my TV. And I was looking for the pebbles to move.
Mm-hmm.
Were you? Did you do that?
No, because I can't see anything.
Oh, okay. Well, I did. And I saw some pebbles moving.
That's amazing. I mean, then they decided to take them on another day where they're like, we're going to random locations.
Yeah, it was
And
like 3 weeks later.
Yeah. And they were able to get just they didn't even know where they were going. Sam and Colby didn't know. They would show up at places, and they were able to come up with validatable evidence on the day. Somebody had passed on the day, and they brought through information on that person on the day.
And she was walking on a park. So they did a validation. It was Globe Park.
Mm-hmm.
And then Globe Elementary was like 1,400 feet away, but they didn't know that the school was there. And they had the producers Google that person after the fact, and everything was validatable. And you know what that girl was doing? She's like, I'm just walking in the park, living my best afterlife.
Yeah. And but she had passed, that was the anniversary date of her passing. Like,
yeah, I think she passed in like 2009 from what
2007, I think it was.
But yeah, it was like way back.
But it was
that's
like
crazy.
That anniversary day was that day. Like, it was so fucking cool. And then they
you know what I just thought of?
What?
There's like, I don't know. There's holidays on the other side.
What do you mean?
She was walking in the park for her anniversary of her passing to be near the school. I think that's what that was the message. There's holidays on the other side, folks. special dates, like a birthday, except in reverse.
Well, don't you think? Well, yeah, could be. I don't know.
Do you know what I mean? Like that's really cool that the spirit world holds that sacred. Even if like maybe that's just my point of view, but like the fact that they reflect on their life and they do stuff like that, or they have the possibility to do that stuff, and it still has meaning in their afterlife, is pretty freaking amazing in and to itself. So I wanted to have a
I think
mind
the
pop on
spirit
that
world
one.
just likes showing off. I think they're
Mm-hmm.
like, look at what we can do.
Okay, so if you are Dina, if
Mhm.
you are trying to debunk something and you need new shoes, where do you go to buy them?
Walmart.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'll remember that when we got to debunk like the next hotel. I'll just go to
Yeah.
Walmart.
Buy your slippers at Walmart.
Yeah. George, I'll make sure I buy my George shoes
Yeah.
in
They
Faded
looked,
Glory.
I will tell you, they probably smell, they probably, those, it has that
Oh,
cheapy
oh,
smell, but they looked
100%.
really comfortable.
They
Like they
did.
were furry lined and they looked really comfortable.
They were my rapping shoes. So,
Is this why spirit won't come to us when we hold arms?
yeah, because they think that we're too sarcastic and witty.
Yeah.
But they come to us in other ways.
Yeah.
But
But
so they ended up going to different locations. I think,
in their
and
special Walmart shoes,
and so it's Cody and what's the girl's name again?
Colby and Santori.
Thank you so much. So they took them to locations around Rhode Island that they didn't know in the destination part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So they were like, "We're putting you in the car. We're taking you to random locations. You know nothing about these locations. Great." And shit kept happening.
Mm-hmm. And I
That's
mean,
crazy.
it's so cool. So the question was for Colby and Sam, or Sam and Colby. I don't know if they're like picky, like, we're Matt and
Mm-hmm.
Dana. Like if somebody was like, Dana and Matt, like if they would be like pissy.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress.
No, it's Matt and it's Dana.
But they were thinking like, is this phenomenon only in the Conjuring House? Can we
Yeah.
take it to different places? Can
But that backs up the Fox sisters story.
Absolutely, which is why we started this whole podcast with telling you all about the Fox sisters.
You're
The
welcome.
other thing that's really cool, and it was very validating that I kept on hearing in my head as I was watching the episode yesterday, was something that Eileen Davies told us at Arthur Finley last week. If it can happen once, it can happen again.
Yeah.
So knowing that this phenomenon is possible once, of course it's going to be possible again. And we've seen this type of communication from the spirit world, maybe not in wrappings from other physical mediums, not to our knowledge up to this point, right? Maybe it
Right.
has happened, but this is the first time since the Fox sisters that we've really been able to see phenomena that almost even backs up the Fox sister story. Because as a developed medium, or whatever you want to call it, we've heard the lore of the Fox sisters and we're like, cool story, bro. Like, I think I believe it, but now I really believe it. I
Oh,
have
me too.
something to like really hang my hat on the Fox sisters story a whole lot more. But physical mediumship and this, and almost the birthplace of what the Fox sisters brought forward, was what we could then do with table tipping, right? Now, tables can move. We can do physical mediumship with tables, where
Yeah.
the table can move to the left, to the right, up and down, and all around. Um, but we can also do the same thing with table tipping, where we go A, B, C, D, and we
Yep.
can communicate the same way with tables. Ouija boards, same thing, where the planchette will move around. That's physical mediumship. Automatic writing is physical mediumship. There's records of mediums where they're watching TV and with their other hand is completely doing something else and
Yep.
writing a whole thing, right? So there is phenomena that is, I guess, similar to what the Fox sisters were doing, but this is the first thing that I've heard of that is very true to what the Fox sisters were doing back in 1848.
Yeah, and the spirit world can do really cool stuff. So do you remember the planchette that you can put a pencil in it?
Mm-hmm.
like they've shown that like when they used that, when the lady went into a trance state, that it came out in the handwriting of the person that was on the other side.
Mm.
So like we just know tips of the iceberg, but let's take a moment. So let's go back to the Fox sisters. Like this is where it makes me believe it, right? Because they were in a time before Google, telephones, really. So they had like what, Morse code,
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. But think about how amazing the phenomena and not like how unvalidatable it could be that it got worldwide in a short amount of time
Mm-hmm.
like that, and its spread of being like, yo, you need to come here. Imagine people actually flocking there to get legitimate messages from the other side. So when I saw the Sam and Colby episode, and they were getting full sentence messages, and they're not actual mediums, and they don't claim to be actual mediums that are doing the tappings,
Even though they are.
even though they are. That's fine. Um, it's validatable.
Mm-hmm.
It's validatable. We always want evidence. We never want platitudes. And nowhere in those fucking messages were there platitudes, except maybe like we're watching over you.
Or we're fine. Tell so and so
Tell,
we're fine.
but that's evidence
Mm-hmm. Because they
because
were
they
giving like three people's
correct.
names and. Mm-hmm.
Tell Bill and Judy that Sam and I are okay.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. And then they were bringing in like people that he couldn't have known
Mm-hmm.
and connected it with who it was connected to. It was like ancestry.com of rapping. It was
It
cool
was so
because he's
cool.
like, and he even said, I've never met you, right?
Mm-hmm.
No. Yeah, that's
Yep.
right. I haven't met him. Like that was just like, and it
Yep.
felt, I don't know, maybe it was my brain bought into it, but like I felt a shift every time there was a new person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like you could feel, and I almost started to like clairvoyantly like imagine what they looked
Yeah.
like as they were talking. Like I pictured the Homer, the lady in like this maroon dress, just standing there being like with her foot. But I'm wondering, like now it's like in my head, I'm like, can I tap into that energy?
Mm-hmm.
Like I would love to sit in a rapping demonstration and clairvoyantly draw. Of
Mm.
being like, what am I seeing and can this be validated? Like, how far can you take this beyond the wrappings to bring that solidification of this actually being a legitimate thing to convince people that we continue on beyond death, right? Or as Eileen says, the spirit is eternal.
Or to just quote Eileen one more time, why limit the limitless, right?
Right.
This is, I think, sometimes we need to be brought back to the roots. And
Mm-hmm.
this is, again, I think this demonstration is bringing us back to our roots and reminding us that of what is possible,
We
but also
oversimplify it.
like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, yes. So mediumship at its core is so very simple.
Mm-hmm.
But I love this for so many reasons. Is Its simplicity. There's not a bunch of like flashy lights and like wee. It's just simple, it's pure, and they experimented with it. They asked it to do it again, and it did. These are the core things that we look for when we're looking to work with the spirit world. We're ruling out the
Right.
mundane. We're doing all of the things, and it makes it that much more magical. Like I was a giddy little schoolgirl
Oh
last
my
night.
God. Yeah, you would not stop texting me, and I was trying to watch it. I was like, she's calling me in the middle of it. She's that excited. But it really was very, like, I could see your excitement of why. And you know what's really cool is like the people that I showed Sassy Jake, he was into it. He was like, oh
Mhm.
shit, oh shit, oh shit. I mean, it can turn people from non believers to believers really quickly, or at least move the needle a little bit. And I think that's what the spirit world wants. They want us to know, to quote Eileen another time, that the spirit is eternal. I'm going to quote her one more time, right? You can drink the water at Arthur Finley in your rooms from the faucet. But I'm going to that's my biggest takeaway. But really, it's the spirit is eternal, and the more people that we can show that it's not what we think it is. Now, the only thing that got me a little like Hmm. Hmm. Is when she gave the message, go in the woods with intent.
But I think everything is
With a
with
good intent.
intention because she's not wrong. Okay. She's not wrong about any of that because when we step into anything with fear, when we are afraid that something bad's going to happen, aren't we bringing that forward?
Oh. You cracked my egg. No, I get it. I understand it. But that also leads like that is a very like maybe that was just telling her don't be afraid. Like
Yeah.
it wouldn't have
Stop,
been
stop
just
being,
simpler says like don't be afraid of anything that you experience here. Wouldn't that have been
but
easier to
that's
say?
like, you know how many taps that takes to say that? Like, good intention is way faster to say than like, be not afraid, for you are the shade. You are so very powerful. But like, you can't be very verbose when you're rapping. Like, when you're like rapping, like yo yo yo, you can be very verbose. But like when you're rapping,
When
you
you're
can't be verbose.
when you're flipping and flanning at them.
Mhm.
um it was literally it was pretty cool to see. It was really awesome to see, and I think we need to take a rule from them in general on that episode, and then also Ghost Hunters of we always want to debunk what we're doing, right? So like for me as a mental medium, there's no way I could have known any of that, but I'd love for a skeptic to go, okay, can you Google this? It's been validated. Can you Google this? Like I'm okay with somebody cross-checking my work. It's great
Mhm.
because you know what? I have nothing to hide. But even with physical mediumship, can it be debunked? Is there a possibility that there's somebody downstairs? Can we move it to another location? Is it a draft in the house? Is it the person that's sitting at the sofa? Is there a vibration, energy, whatever, EMF, hallelujahs? I don't know what else you could do. But when it all comes down to not being um, debunked and it's unexplainable, it's a miracle.
Mhm.
And that's the beauty of the spirit world is the interaction is a miracle because we're
Mhm.
speaking to another dimensions as megan
Mhm.
megan says, our dear friend says, dimensions.
Zzz.
She's like there could be more than one. And well, TBD on that for me. uh, but really it's cool, it's amazing, and it's special, and so we can't fall for everything, folks. We
Mhm.
can't. We have to have healthy skepticism and do our due diligence to disprove it, and when it's all said and done and it can't be disproven, rock it out. And that, I think that's the reason why we wanted to make this podcast so quickly and get it out to you guys so fast, is because this is special.
Mhm.
What we're seeing is special, and I truly believe, until further notice, right, that what I saw on that episode was real.
Mhm. I
You heard it
concur.
here, folks.
Was it real? Yes.
It was.
That was my hand. That was not
what
spirit.
what is what is Judge, you say the verdicts are real? The cases are real.
But I think that that's as a reminder, even going back to the Fox sisters, because there have been, I think this is where knowing your history around mediumship is very important, and why I'm glad we started with talking about the history of the Fox sisters. We understand where us as humans get in the way of being great conduits for the spirit world.
Hmm.
When alcoholism gets in the way, maybe
Money.
our money. We've had great, amazing mediums of the past that were phenomenal mediums that started to do it for nefarious reasons.
Well, this is why me and you pay attention to the history of mediumship, because we came up with our own little slogan. Well, you did, and I just adopted it. Don't put pressure on your spiritual business. If you're
Yes.
getting to the point where you're starting to put pressure on your spiritual business, get another job.
Get another job. Don't put pressure on your spiritual business because it is very easy to let fame, to put money, to do anything on your spiritual business. And then you're doing it for the wrong reasons. And it's very
Mm-hmm.
easy to
Mm-hmm.
go into a bad place. So I think that's why it's really important to, even for who true phenomenon, which I believe we saw, I think
Mm-hmm.
it's good to always keep a skeptical eye open for, even with Santori
Yes.
and Cody, like, or Colby, like, is there something down the line 10 years from now where, like, that doesn't seem like it used to be, or that doesn't seem like they're doing it for the right reasons. I think that it's always good to keep an open, because we've seen great mediums of the past that were legit amazing mediums that went the wrong way.
They went rogue.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the deal, too. This is the reason why me and Dana also stress that 90% of mediumship development is not the mechanics of mediumship, it's personal development, so you can stay mother trucking humble.
Mm-hmm.
Also, to quote Matthew Smith and Arthur Finley, your insecurities are there to keep your ego in check, and it's necessary to have it. So,
Oh, and just to quote him again, one of my
go for it,
favorite
Mama.
quotes from him was, "If it doesn't make sense, it's nonsense."
It's nonsense. Love it. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So believe it. And this is like the perfect episode just to come back after our last episode of, like, the spirit world is amazing,
Yep.
but
It's a gift.
it is, this
The
is,
spirit world is the gift,
mm-hmm.
not the act of mediumship, folks.
Yeah. So
Let
soak
me
it
wrap it.
in. Watch this episode by Sam and Colby. Watch, like, how they debunk it all, or work to debunk it. And then use your own discernment. And I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. What did you guys think? What were your feelings? Did it move the needle for you? Don't take our word for it. I want you to think with your own mind. What were your feelings on it? Did it move
Mm-hmm.
you at all?
Love it.
And I can't wait to talk to you guys more about this.
All right. Well, we love you all. You're in our hearts. And Dana, take it away, my friends.
Matthew,
Yes.
I want to hold your wrists,
Okay.
but not in a creepy sort of way.
Yeah. Two best friends in a dark room because they're mediums and one's gay.
Just trying to get spirits to rap a
Talk.
little.
All right. Bye, everybody. We love you all.
Bye.
See you later. What does the dance teacher in spirit say?
What?
You better tappa tappa tappa.